Combat is no fun.
Douglas MacArthur, one of America's greatest leaders in the World War II and the fight of the Pacific, once said that only those willing to die for their country are fit to live in it. Today we met one of them. Private First Class Earl Hansen embodies that sentiment. In the 23 months of brutal fighting in Morotai, New Guinea, and the Philippines, PFC Hansen risked it all, came home safely, and went on to live an extraordinary life in the nation he loves. He turned 100 in July, and today, in honor of Veterans Day, we want to pay tribute to this American patriot. Earl was just 20 when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. He was in love with a pretty Illinois girl named Mary, and they married in July of 1942. 3 months later, he was drafted into the Army and bound for the South Pacific. PFC Hansen signed up and served with the 33rd Infantry Division, a formation with the Illinois National Guard, a formation that the 1st Army still proudly partners with today. Known as the Golden Crossers due to their patch on their shoulders, the unit saw fierce combat from day one. PFC Hansen's company, in fact, turned over almost completely 3 times due to casualties, and he would be one of the last of its few original members by war's end.
One of the smallest soldiers in his company, PFC Hansen was a mortarman. His combat load, pack, weapon, and 60mm mortars often weighed almost as much as he did. He quickly became fast friends with another trooper, Jack, an Oxford, Illinois farm kid who always volunteered to help carry his ammo.
The worst of their fighting came in the Philippines, the Battle of Luzon in 1945, in the mile-high city of Baguio. For 3 months, PFC Hansen and his unit engaged in savage mountain fighting over some of the most rugged terrain in the island.
There was no easy route to the objective. It was all uphill, and the well-entrenched enemy had been ordered to fight to the death. Ground combat losses on Luzon were almost 47,000. Some 10,380 Americans killed and more than 36,000 wounded. Only a few campaigns would be bloodier.
After months of pitched battle, PFC Hansen's unit liberated Baguio. The city became the final scene of the Japanese surrender in the Philippines, and victory in the Pacific was complete in August of 1945. By then, young PFC Hansen was worried about coming home. His hair would not really grow back ever again, and his greatest worry was that Mary wouldn't recognize him. Well, when he got home, his fears had quickly gone to rest. The young couple reunited and would be happily married for another 66 years. Earl worked construction and built homes. Then he got hired at John Deere and spent 30 years there as a machine operator. Some incredible stories from him. All of his life he remained fit and spry, and though he adamantly refused to walk great distances anywhere, always grumbling, "I walked enough in the Philippines."
Combat changes a man. For decades, Earl would not talk about his experiences in the Pacific with Mary or their sons. He had bad dreams, banned any form of war movies from the house, and his boys discovered that he had struggled with what we now call PTSD. But in his 80s, Earl finally began to share details of his service with his family and friends that seemed to relieve some of the burden, and over time, he would even share his experience with local high school students. He remained lifelong friends with Jack, his devoted battle buddy.
Today, it was our great honor to visit PFC Hansen to wish him a happy Veterans Day and to thank him for his service. Mary unfortunately died in 2011, and he now lives in an assisted living facility right here on this hallowed ground. He instantly recognized our new Army dress uniforms modeled on the World War II era pinks and greens, the uniforms of the greatest generation, and we were lucky enough to see his today. As most of you know, I am the grandson of a Filipino scout, a scout who fought alongside American forces in the Second World War, and it was very humbling to hear it firsthand of PFC Hansen's sacrifice and service, a service that allowed me to be here where I am today. He said he wasn't important enough to have a visit from a Command Sergeant Major or General, but in truth, we were honored to be in his greatness. It has been said that the Army lives in the shadows of its traditions and the shadows of its heroes. It must look to the historic deeds of former soldiers to inspire the current ones. Today we stood in the presence of a giant. Private First Class Earl Hansen, he has set the bar. You remind us why we serve, and you, in your generation, continue to inspire us all. To all of you, happy Veterans Day, and happy Veterans Day to Jack and his family, and to all of you who have worn the cloth of this nation, thank you. First indeed, earn the A. Thank you for all your stories and your wonderful family.
I got too many more. Come on back.